Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, They Can't Be Ignored, How Servicing Hybrid and Electric Vehicles Affects Your Bottom Line, sponsored by the Hybrid Shop. I'm Elena Scott, Online Manager for Tire Business. Today's event will be moderated by Dave Crawford with the Hybrid Shop. Before I hand it over to Mr. Crawford, just a few housekeeping issues to review. First, today's webinar will be available along with the slides. They will be emailed to all registrants and made available on demand. Also, if you have any questions, we'll be leaving about 20 minutes at the end of the webinar to answer them. To submit a question, you can use the console located at the right side of your screen. Expand the question box and write your question in the box that says Enter a Question for Staff. We'll do our best to get to all of your questions. You can also submit questions on Twitter using #ServicingHybrids or by emailing them to me at ascott@crain.com. As I said, today's speaker is Dave Crawford. In 1991, Crawford opened his own business, primarily servicing import vehicles. He sold that business in 1996 to become the National Marketing Director of American Car Care Centers, and was an integral part in building the company to over 1,100 locations. Dave left in 2008 to join Tire Pros, overseeing the 26 company stores in St. Louis. A year later, the company was bought by ATV, and the Tire Pros franchise got a much-needed boost, where it had grown to almost 600 locations today. Dave served as Vice President of Tire Pros Operations for more than 3 years before making the decision to lead the Hybrid Shop's operations as CEO. With that, I'll hand it over to Dave Crawford.
Well, thank you, Elena. I appreciate the intro. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully we got some good information to share with you. So, the hybrid business, we do feel it does positively affect your bottom line. It is a big boost to your business, and to a great degree, my thing. Okay, bear with me a second. My computer won't move. Something's wrong here with the computer. Okay, sorry about that. Something happened with the link up. So, anyways, to a great degree, I think a lot of people in the business and consumers think that hybrids and electric vehicles are a fairly new part of our industry. And actually, if you go back in time, the first electric vehicle that did hit the U.S. highways was 1905 by the Studebaker Electric Company. And it was soon upstaged by an internal combustion engine, which finally won out, and that's what we've all been working on since that time. So today, in 2002, I guess, you take a look, you know, is when the hybrid business really started to take off in the U.S. And there were two vehicles back there, mainly the Toyota Prius and the Honda Insight. And, you know, today it's grown dramatically. You know, if you take a look at this screen, the upper left-hand corner, the first piece there, that's the traditional hybrid electric vehicle. That's going to be your Prius. And that's the vast majority of the vehicles that represent this hybrid electric market. Top right-hand corner over there, that's going to be the extended range vehicle. And that's going to be a Cadillac ILR, the Chevy Bolt. The bottom right-hand corner, that's going to be the full electric vehicle. That's going to be a Tesla's going to be out in that market, the Nissan Leaf. And the lower left-hand segment of this is the plug-in hybrids. And this is more of the newer technology out today. We'll get a little bit more involved in that. But what it does, it plugs that hybrid in and gives that battery a boost, you know, every night when you plug that in. That way, it's more reliant, there's more power coming out of the electric battery as opposed to the internal combustion engine, which improves gas mileage overall. Today, there's over 70 models on the road available you can buy today. 3 million hybrids on the roads today. It represents about 5% of the U.S. car market. My own projections by the end of this year, initially it was about 7%. We'll probably be a little bit shy of that with the price of gas dropping somewhat. But Department of Energy projects that by 2020, it's going to represent about 10% of the total vehicle market. I'll take you through a quick walk here behind the scenes. This is the present and what we find is the emerging technologies we all deal with today in the marketplace. The first one doesn't need a lot of introduction, internal combustion engine, or the ICE engine, if you will. It's proven technology, but it does have greenhouse gases. It's not as fuel efficient as some of the other vehicles on the road today, even though it's getting more so. and it fluctuates with the cost of gasoline. So people are kind of hot and cold on some of these, depending on the price of gas. Nowadays, with the price down, it's certainly more favorable to buy a car that doesn't get the better gas mileage to a lot of consumers. You have compressed natural gas. Now, if you take a look at this compared to gasoline, it's more efficient, less greenhouse gases, but the hurdle you have to overcome is that infrastructure. If you buy a car that uses compressed natural gas in limited supply right now from manufacturers, where do you get compressed gas to put into the car? You see the numbers down there, roughly 1,000 stations nationwide sell it last count versus 168,000 at last count of the gas stations nationwide. So it's a hurdle that has to overcome. Fuel cell technology, more efficient than ICE engines and compressed natural gas. This combines oxygen to produce electricity. There are safety requirements that mandates that the dealers that work on them have to meet. And there you have the problem as well with the infrastructure and the scarcity of hydrogen. Where do you get it? So this, a lot of experts feel this will be an emerging technology going forward, but we have to overcome that hurdle, the infrastructure. Where do I get the hydrogen? You have turbo diesels, and for many, many years, it's been proven performance, especially in Europe. Some of the European cities are actually rethinking this to a degree because of the pollution that it causes. So it's not as clean as some of the other vehicles. In this country, diesel costs more per gallon of gas in many, many states across the country. You saw the Volkswagen emblem pop up there, and this is, I think, going to have a huge impact on our industry. Nobody knows for sure yet how deep that's going to go, but Volkswagen is kind of in hot water with us right now with the government, and we don't know exactly how that's going to affect not only demand, but what the vehicle's going to look like going forward. So that's a to be determined, if you will. The main focus we'll talk about today is electric and hybrid vehicles, and electric vehicles today represent about 4% of the hybrid electric market combined. And this is a car that relies totally on the battery as the main source of power. Traditionally has been a problem with range. Is that you buy an electric vehicle, you can sit there and ride around town. It's a great vehicle to have, but you want to go from point A to someplace else that's several hundred miles away, you have a problem of where to get the car charged. So this has been a problem that's plagued electric vehicles. Then over time it will build out, and over time there'll be an infrastructure, but today it's not quite in place yet. This utilizes a lithium-ion battery pack, and I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. The bulk of the hybrid electric market is the true hybrid vehicle. And what this does is combine battery power with that internal combustion engine, utilizing start-stop technology. It's efficient, it's proven technology. It represents about 96% of the vehicles that you're going to see coming into your shop in this segment, if you will. And this utilizes mainly nickel metal hydride batteries, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail as well in a few minutes. The hybrid customer. I'll tell you a little bit about the people that buy hybrid electric vehicles. Mainly they focus on environment and they want to save money. Those are the two key issues, the two key reasons that people that buy the vehicles, the reason why they made the purchase. The hybrid owners skew a little bit older. The full electric vehicles, they tend to skew a little bit younger. They tend to have higher education, a bit more tech savvy, make a higher household income than the average driver in the country. 53% of the people are women, so that skews right in line with the rest of the industry today. It's heavily female-oriented. They tend to be a little more liberal. They like the outdoors. And 53% of the people that have been polled for buying vehicles said they pay premium prices for green products. So that's important to them. And you need to keep that in mind because that's going to be part of what we're going to talk about a little bit here as we go forward. Now, there's some sources behind the scenes that a lot of people are not aware of, consumers and viewers alike. And, there's government intervention in our lives. The first is reducing the carbon footprint. I'll walk you through a little bit about this. This is the Zero Emission Vehicle Program. This was set up by the California Air Resource Board back in the early 90s. And they basically put this program in place to try and reduce the air pollution in key cities that they have problems with in California. So that's where it started. They focused on low-emission vehicles, and their goal in California was 2% zero-emission vehicles, or full electric at that point in time, by 1998. By 2003, they wanted 10% of all the vehicles on California highways to be zero emission. Well, it was modified in 1996 because the automobile manufacturers sued them, and they won. And what ended up is that they combined all of this together into a very complex system of banking credits and ratios. And now you have hybrids in here, you have electric vehicles, you have ultra-low emission vehicles that are ICE engines. You have a whole complex piece in here of ratios and banking credits. And to kind of boil through all this, if you take a look back in 1996, and we use Ford Motor Company, if they wanted to sell 1,000 F-150s in the state of California, in 96, they had to sell one electric vehicle. And that was the ratio. And if they didn't meet that, it affected the profitability. Well, it was a sliding scale coming out of that. By 2020, that has to be a 2-to-1 ratio. And by 2025, that has to be a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning for every 150, F-150 that Ford sells, you have to have one other of this category: hybrid, electric, plug-in hybrid, ultra-low emission vehicle, and that's got to be the ratio. So this is forcing things kind of behind the scenes, if you will. Now, probably a lot of people on this webinar today say, it's California, I live on the East Coast. How in the heck does that affect my business? Well, 2 years ago, an 8-state task force was created, to join California in this effort. And they all embraced the program objectives, collectively. So if you take a look at the slide, you had 2 states on the West Coast, California, Oregon, but you had 6 states on the East Coast that combined to meet the standards, and they represent about 28% of the U.S. vehicle market. Primary objectives by 2025, collectively they want 3.3 million vehicles in this category on the road by 2025. That today they have about 640,000. So this is government mandates, if you will, and the action has potential to potentially dramatically change the marketplace nationwide. When I look at this, look at the states on the eastern coast, and I look at on the west coast as well, is that, if you look at Maryland's on there, Virginia is not. How long will it be before Maryland starts putting pressure on Virginia, and Virginia feels that they have to embrace the standard as well? And all the adjoining states will eventually join nationwide and make this a real piece of action going forward and affect our business. So I think it has the potential to dramatically change the way things go forward. The other side of the coin is the gas business, and a little bit of humor there. Everyone's seen this back when the gas prices were approaching $5 a gallon. But today prices have dropped dramatically, and they continue to drop. You take a 10-year history, looking back, as you can see the volatility of gas prices going up and down, constantly changing, constantly moving one place to the other. You have to take a look at this as well, is that what happens to that gas price if something happens in the Middle East? One of our refineries shuts down in the U.S. That price can skyrocket back up again. So it's very volatile where this is going to go in the future. Now, the other part of government innovation that affects this is the CAFE standard. The CAFE is the corporate average fleet economy. Each one of the manufacturers has to meet certain standards for their entire corporate fleet. And then I chart you're looking at right now to surmise that whole piece. Basically, is that the federal government now, not the state government, the federal government mandates that by 2017, each one of the fleets, each one of the manufacturers that sells cars in the United States, their fleet has to average 34.1 miles per gallon. By 2025, that's 54.5 miles per gallon. So now you take a look at that again. You have the F-150. You want to sell a bunch of F-150s in the marketplace, you've got to be producing a lot of low or high mile per gallon vehicles to balance that out, because this is the government intervention in what we do. So you combine the two forces together. That critical date is 2025, 10 years from now. So zero emission ratio, it continues to decrease to 1-to-1. And the CAFE standards continue to increase. So it's kind of a perfect storm, if you will, when you look at this. Now, it takes you way back to the statement that Henry Ford made back, early on, is that you can have any color you want as long as it's black. Well, you can have any kind of vehicle you want in this country to drive as long as it meets what the government mandates are behind the scenes. So even though you got the price of gas, which will continue to fluctuate in our lifetime and continue to go forward, you have all these influences behind the scenes that are affecting the way the manufacturers produce the cars. So you get more and more emphasis on hybrids, more and more emphasis on electric vehicles as you continue to go forward. Now, some of the issues that we face being shop owners today is there's a gap. It goes from information and training and education. It funnels right into the customers. Customers don't understand the vehicles. They think hybrids are very complex, which they are. So what do? They have a problem with the vehicle. You take it back to the car dealer to get it worked on because they don't think anyone out in the industry or the aftermarket knows how to work on it. From our standpoint, we have a problem keeping up with technology. Training, education, there's a lot of misinformation or incomplete information out in the marketplace that we deal with every single day. And that last line down there, I think is so important, that lack of legacy knowledge. I can remember back when I was in college, I was turning the wrench, putting myself through college. And if I had a problem with a car, there was always somebody around that was senior, one of the older guys. I could sit there and ask them a question, and they could help you out when you're working on the car. Today with a hybrid, there is no senior people out there working on the car. There's very, very few of them out there know how to do it. So we have to create that own knowledge and train the people in our industry. And you have to ask yourself as a business owner, if a customer walked in your shop today, or they called you on the phone and had a question about a hybrid, do you know how to answer the question? And if you don't know how to do it, do you send them to a competitor or send them to a car dealer? To me, that impacts your business. You never want to send a customer out of your business someplace else to get the work done because they may never come back, even if they're a regular customer coming into place of business right now. That has potential for great impact on our business going forward. So this is what a lot of the guys look at. They open that hood up, the guy out in the shop, they open it up, they see those orange cables, those ominous-looking things sitting out there, and so often they quietly close it down because they don't know how to work on the vehicle. They're afraid of it, as they should be. I mean, Honda puts this sticker behind the back seat on the plate to get to the battery. If you look at that, it says you won't, it says you will be killed or hurt, not you might be killed or hurt. It says you will be killed or hurt. Do not remove this cover. Now, if you're a tech working on a car, and it's the first time you worked on a hybrid, and you're going to pull out and work on the battery or pull the control module out or something out to work on that hybrid system in the back with the battery pack, chances are you're going to put it back together, and they're going to look at you as a boss. You're going to say, I'm not opening that thing up. I can get killed. So that's the information that our techs deal with on a day-to-day basis. This is your basic Prius, the synergy system, the hybrid drive synergy system that they've developed. You see the upper right-hand corner, that's the internal combustion engine. It combines through a generator, through a drive motor. And down the bottom right-hand corner, you've got a battery pack. And that converts it to a power inverter from DC to AC and then back the other way as well. So it combines those two forces to drive the vehicle and push it forward. Now, to put that in layman's terms, I guess, to make it easy, is that the right side of that screen, if you look at the arrow, that's the way the car is going to go. So you pull out your driveway in the morning in the neighborhood. You're kind of creeping up the road 15 miles an hour until you get out on the main street. As you can see at this point, that green arrow coming from the battery in the back is that's driving the vehicle. It's on full electric power at this point in time. You get the low-speed driving before you get to an interstate. And now it's a combination of not only the electric battery pulling that out through the power control unit, but it's also the internal combustion engine, the two of them working together to drive the vehicle and move it forward. You get up to cruising speed, at the interstate. So now you're cruising down 55, 60 miles an hour. What happens, now that power that's coming out of the control module is putting some of that back in the battery and recharging that battery as going down the road. So you're cruising at a constant speed. The two of them side by side are working together, charging the battery and driving the vehicle down the road. Now you have to hit the gas, get around to something on the road. You see at this point in time, both of them are working in, conjunction with each other. You got the batteries putting all the juice out to the drive motor. You got the internal combustion engine putting all the power out at the same time to the drive wheels. And that's working together. The other side of the coin is you go to slow down. At this point in time is that the brakes on a hybrid vehicle really only function as true brakes for a panic stop and under 10 miles an hour. So what happens, you're starting to slow down coming off an interstate and slowing down coming to a traffic light, is putting that power or energy back in the battery to charge it up again. So that's kind of the very basic look at how a hybrid vehicle works if you haven't seen that before. So you get to the point to ask yourself as a shop owner, how do I tap into this market? How do I plug in and take advantage of all this? What's it mean to be in dollars and cents? Well, the hybrid shop, we look at two different sections of this. You have the ongoing hybrid maintenance, and you have battery replacement and conditioning. And the dealers we have set up today across the country as franchises is that they're seeing, on average, from the surveys we've had, about 75% of the hybrid-specific business is coming from maintenance and specific work done outside of the battery. Battery replacement and conditioning represents about 25% of the total market. So a lot of that business is just ongoing maintenance and things you need to do with a hybrid vehicle. Now, on the top part of that is that you see some hybrid-specific maintenance, diagnosing, servicing, repairing, and maintenance. You got the hybrid brake system, you got transmission services and flushes. Well, those are things that get done at dealers, and those are things dealers can do that a lot of dealers should be doing today. You see the group down the bottom. This is spaces where car dealers traditionally have not completed today. Your control system testing, the DC to DC converter, power inverters, battery conditioning, rebuilding, state of health programs, all of that rolls into it that when you take a car back to the dealer, they tend to replace parts nowadays. They plug into it with a scanner, they find out what the code does, they replace the part, send the customer down the road. In our business, we repair the cars that come in. We diagnose, find out what it is, we fix the problems. And I think that's where the money's being made, and that's where you build the customer confidence going down the road. We've also found from our dealers that you get a better, more profitable sales mix than you may be getting today. Synthetic oil, is a higher price, higher gross profit ticket for a lot of dealers in the market because it gets better gas mileage. Less friction equates to better gas mileage. You have return maintenance opportunities that come in here as well. Tire rotations, courtesy checks, all those things. It says once you build the confidence in the consumer, you're getting those customers come back again and again. You've got premium tires. If you're not selling low rolling resistant tires on hybrids today and didn't know that a hybrid takes a specific type of tire, you should know that. You put the wrong tire on a customer's hybrid that's running down the road, chances are they're going to come back to you within the first 30 days and say, what the heck happened to my gas mileage? Why did it drop 4 to 5 miles per gallon? Well, that happens out there. The people that drive hybrids, again, bought the vehicle to save gas and the environment. So they're watching that gas mileage on an ongoing basis, and they're going to see if it drops. You work on suspension. Nitrogen gets the tires better rolling resistance by less air loss in there. Ongoing alignment checks. Anything you can do to focus on saving gas is going to help build that customer confidence and that customer segment of the business. A recent survey we did back in the summertime of our dealers, what they came back with is that they're currently averaging the hybrid-only segment of the business, about $671, their average repair order. And that's about $262 higher than what the shop average is today for the rest of the vehicles that are out there. They're seeing an additional about 2.4 vehicles per week. Gross profit's about 55%, a little bit more than that. So if you project that out, just based on that number of vehicles a week, at that gross profit and sales, it projects to about $83,000 more per year in the first year on a conservative basis, and that's the incremental gross profit you're going to see coming out of that as well. And again, that's on to me, a conservative basis if you're looking at this. You get a little more aggressive on the advertising and the marketing, which we can certainly help you with, is it's going to draw more of those customers in again and again, and I think it boosts those dollar amounts dramatically. I told you to talk a little bit about the battery types, and the first is the lithium-ion battery. And this has been predominantly in the extended range vehicle and the full electric vehicle. It utilizes carbon and highly reactive lithium to store that energy. It costs a little bit more to produce than the nickel metal hydride battery does. It's lighter, has a little higher density, but it can be affected by extreme temperature. There was an issue I saw or heard on the news yesterday about an airplane that had to do an emergency landing because they had a lithium-ion battery that caught on fire in the kitchen of the airplane. It's the same as if you put your iPhone on the dash of your vehicle in the summertime. It's definitely going to shut down at some point in time to save the battery from burning up. Now, this can be replaced. It can be balanced and charged only. You cannot put capacity back into a lithium-ion battery. The other side of the coin, and this is the battery that's going to be the most prominent battery in the hybrid electric segment. And this is nickel metal hydride. And this uses hydrogen to store the energy. a little less expensive for the manufacturer to produce, a little bit heavier, a little bit larger to put in the vehicle. It's durable, and it charges very quickly, which has been a big help to the hybrid. This can be conditioned multiple times, and it's most prevalent out there. And I'll walk you through a little bit about the difference in conditioning, where you can make the money versus a battery replacement only. So this is a picture of the Honda packs. Now, the Honda packs utilizes what we call like a tube, if you will, or a stick. So envision if you haven't taken one of these batteries out and taken a look at it, it's like a big D-cell mag light, if you will. It kind of looks like 6 D-cell batteries all lined up end-to-end, wrapped in orange, if you will. Plus bars tie all those things together. And that's Honda's drive pack, if you will. This on the other side, this is the most prevalent pack you'll see. And this is the Toyota pack, or the prismatic pack, if you will. And every one of those gray modules lined up side by side, tied together with those orange bus bars, is basically a 12-volt battery. Ties that entire pack together. Now, this came out of a Camry, so there's 38 packs lined up side by side. So, if you do the math, 38 times 12, you're going to see that it's got a lot of electricity. It's in that battery right now, so you got to be careful with it. You really do. Now, dollars and cents, what's it mean to your business? Okay, if you're replacing the battery side of this, a customer comes in, they have a problem with the battery, you got to send it back to the dealer. Now, this is Charlotte, North Carolina prices for 2008 Prius. It costs you $3,500 to get the battery replaced at the dealer. You make no money on that at all as a dealer, nothing at all. And potentially you've lost the customer. The customer walks out with a 12-month warranty. Everything is fine by them, but it gets wrote a big old check to get there. Second segment right there in the middle is the rebuild or replacement battery. So you pick up the phone, you call a parts house, you get a battery shipped in from several sources. Average price in this town seems about $2,200 for a replacement battery that's been rebuilt. The cost to buy is about $1,500. You got to pay a little bit to ship it back. Labor cost, the R&R battery, I put it in at 4 hours tech time. I use $35 an hour, all costs built in. Benefits, taxes, everything built in that for about $140. So you're making roughly about $435 for 4 hours worth of work for the customer. Not bad, not a hateful day in dollars and cents, not real good on the gross profit percentage that's out there. But that comes with a 36-month warranty with it, so the customer's a little better off going this route as opposed to going back to the dealer. A little better warranty, they save themselves some money. The final stage over there is condition battery, and you have the equipment to do it in your shop. And our guys across the country average about $2,000 for a condition battery in a car. Now, you have to have the proper equipment and proper training to do that, but there's no cost to the battery, no cost to ship it back. I plugged in 6 hours of tech time doing it at $35 an hour. So you got a raw cost about $210 built into that. Your profit on that, $1,790, a very hefty gross profit ticket for that, about 89% gross profit. You got to ask yourself, how many positions or how many jobs do I have in my shop every day that I'm making that kind of gross profit percentage and that type of gross profit dollars is out there. And we give a 2-year warranty on the battery. So when the customer leaves, they got a 2-year warranty to come back. So that's a possibility there that they save money yet again, and you as a shop owner makes more money for doing it. Either way, any one of the 3 cases, the customer experiences immediate improvement in performance. They came in, the car may have not had quite the pickup, it didn't have the acceleration, it wasn't getting the same gas mileage as it was. When they leave in any one of those scenarios with a new or rebuilt or conditioned battery, they're going to get immediate higher torque, better gas mileage, higher level of satisfaction. If you condition it, they're going to save a lot of money as going back to the dealer. So I equate this back that the dealer is your main competition in this, and take the customer away from the dealer. So we looked at 2 different revenue streams here from the very beginning, but we have a couple others that I think you need to factor in this when you get into hybrid business. Number 3 here is that you're going to see additional vehicles coming as well. The average family owns 2.3 vehicles today, and if one of them is a hybrid, they're going to have at least one more vehicle sitting home. The chances are it may not be a hybrid. So if I'm taking care of your Prius, or I'm taking care of your Camry hybrid, or Ford Fusion, or Escape, chances are you're going to also, if you're happy with that vehicle, bring your F-150 or your minivan or any other car into me for service. So that's what I mean by picking up additional vehicles that come in. And I think, this is my opinion, but I think it positions your shop as the best in category. You're going to get referrals, and you're going to get retention that comes back from the customer. And why I say it's best in category, because you're positioned on the cutting edge of technology in this industry. You're working on the most advanced vehicles that are out there right now, and that equates to being the best in category. People talk about you because you're able to work on the cars when no one else is. So I really think that affects your business and affects a lot of it. I'll wrap up with a couple pieces here. This is the program options that we offer. And I'm not going to go do a deep dive on this from the hybrid shop, but we have several pieces here. I'll take you to the right side of this over here. You have a choice. Our entire package is just under $60,000, $59,400. And we give you an option of two different types of equipment. We have the new line equipment, which is one manufacturer. You have equipment from AR&D, which is another manufacturer. The way I look at it is that you want to get from point A to point B. Now, you can get there with a Chevy, you can get there with a Ford. Both of these companies do the job. Both of these companies do a very good support function with it as well. We just give the option of the two, really the only two pieces of technology in the industry today. We can give you the option of either one of these things to put in. It's a 5-year agreement. We have 100% financing available, so it costs you nothing to get involved in it. Monthly fees range from $4.99 to $8.99, and that includes everything. It includes the equipment if you go down that road, the training, both initially and ongoing training to keep you guys up to speed of what's going on with all the new developments in the industry. We have some outstanding marketing and brand ID support. We do a lot of that to help you behind the scenes track customers coming in. We send leads to you through our website. We're getting about 30,000 hits a month from consumers that hit our website wanting to know where they can get the cars worked on. We send them as close as we can. In a lot of cases, we got customers that are coming hundreds of miles to get a car or get the battery conditioning because it's saving them a couple $1,000s to do it. And we also protect your territory out there, so that way you don't have to worry about waking up tomorrow morning and the guy right across the street's got the same technology you have. Now, if you're in a little more remote market today, is that we have a base level program that costs you $12,500. And basically, that's for a guy that wants to get into it, does not want to make the equipment investment. He says, you know, let me get my guys trained. Let me start marketing this. Let me start working on the hybrids. I'll do an R&R on the battery. I'll sit there and call up and get one delivered. I'll put it in, and let me walk in here, you know, and tiptoe down the road. When I get my guys comfortable, bang. Then you come back, you buy the piece of equipment, and go forward. So we give you two different options depending on which type of market you have. We also have a multiple store option as well for the guys that have multiple stores to get into this program as well. So to kind of wrap all this up, the left side of this thing is that these are the customers side of things. Is that when you work on hybrids, you give the customers options. You have the potential to save them thousands of dollars, and it's an improved buying experience. I truly believe that customers would rather shop from an industry professional in the aftermarket than go back to the car dealer to get the work done. It's just years and years and years of car dealer and the reputation they've built over years. They have not shaken that reputation yet. It's an environmental benefit. You're not taking the battery, the old battery, and throwing it into a landfill. You're recycling that battery back again and again, which again falls back into why that customer bought the car, saving gas and environmental benefit. If you do it, and you do it right, you build loyalty like you do any other customer. For your side of the coin as a business owner, it means higher ARO per vehicle, higher gross profit, increased car count. To me, employee retention. I believe that technicians want to work in a shop that offers them a challenge and offers them the ability to continue to learn and to find and work on the most up-to-date technology in the marketplace. So I think you keep the best technicians in your shop being able to do that. And you position yourself as an industry leader, not only for today, but you position for the future. In your marketplace that says, guess what? I'm on the cutting edge. I'm working on the newest vehicles in the marketplace, and I've got the technical knowledge to support it and all the pieces to go with it. To wrap it all together, is that a good friend of mine uses the term the cost of ignoring. You know, the hybrid electric vehicle, to me, is the 800-pound gorilla. It's sitting at the other end of the sofa, and we just can't ignore it forever. You know, if you think back as business owners, you know, through your life as owning a business, when you've been slow to react on new technology and changes that have come along, how much business does that cost you? And how much profitability and lost opportunity has been left on the table by being slow to react and slow to jump in? So I'll leave you with that thought about what is the cost of ignoring the hybrid electric business. I'd like to thank you for your time today. There's my information down the bottom, Dave@thehybridshop.com. I welcome any emails. I welcome any calls. I'd love to chat with anybody about any opportunities with the hybrid business. So, Elaine, I'll turn it back over to you and answer any questions you might have.
Okay, so we'll go ahead now and we'll open it up to questions. For anyone who missed the instructions at the beginning of the webinar, you can use the console to ask your questions. Just expand the question box and write your question in the box that says enter question for staff. We'll do our best to get to all of the questions today. You can also submit questions on Twitter using hashtag #ServicingHybrids or by emailing them to me at ascott@crain, that's CRAIN.com. Our first question, Dave, is what are tire manufacturers doing about this change and in this industry?
Tire manufacturers?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think they're all producing, the major rubber companies are all producing low rolling resistance tires to help improve gas mileage. Goodyear is actually producing a tire, and they're playing with one right now. The name escapes me. I can't remember what it is, but they're playing with a tire right now that will actually work in conjunction with the charging system on the car, and the way the tire is designed will sit there and channel energy back into charging the battery up when it's riding down the road, slowing down. Not sure exactly how it works. It's in test phase right now. But I got to ask myself the question when I first saw that, is that Goodyear's looking at doing this and making an investment even into taking a look at this and developing a test tire. They've got to see opportunity out there and see that this is the way the market's going. And if Goodyear's looking at it, other companies have to be looking at it at the same time. So.
Okay, our second question is, are all hybrid batteries created equally, like from Prius to the Lexus? Are all hybrid batteries similar or created equally?
Yeah, I think you have to break it down into two different segments here. You put the lithium ion on the one side, that's in the full electric vehicle. That's a whole different type of battery. That's going to be a replacement at this point in time. But the nickel metal high-grade batteries, I think the Honda battery is head and shoulders above what we have found with the Honda battery. I said it right. Toyota is head and shoulders above the Honda battery. I missed that. Get it right. It's more reliable. It can be conditioned easier. The way the Toyota pack has been developed, which that same technology is funneled in to Ford and Nissan and some of the other manufacturers that go with this as well, is that Honda doesn't have enough cooling with the battery. And that's part of the problem that evolved out of this, is that when you put that pack and you shove it behind the back seat of the car, if you don't get air around that pack, heat is the battery's worst enemy, and that will sit there and certainly drive the battery, into failing a lot sooner. So are they created equally? I think the prismatic pack, which is most prevalent across the industry today, is the best pack, and you're going to find that in most of the hybrid vehicles that are out
there. Okay, our next question is, what if I have a problem while I'm working on the car? Can I call someone? I would assume this is, I guess, making the assumption that they would be working with the hybrid shop. So what is someone to do?
Absolutely. We have tech support lines that if you get in a bind, we try and channel this through email. It's the quickest way to do it. But we actually have some cutting technology that will improve this, and we'll be announcing very soon that will give our tech support guys the ability to look online and see exactly what you're looking at and diagnosing on that car. It's really pretty cool technology to look at it. But if you have a problem, you get stuff, we have tech support that will help. What we found in addition to that is that the hybrid shop owners that we have currently within the network, I got to applaud all these guys. They're really pioneers. They stepped out at the very beginning, and they said they wanted to be the leaders in the marketplace. So what we find is some of the newer guys, or even some of the guys who've been around a while, when they have a question, they fire an email, and they copy either Bob Curry or myself on most of these, and we fire it out to the other guys in the network. And some of these guys respond very, very quickly with an answer. So we had an issue a little while back. One of the new guys down in Georgia, he put the battery in the first time, he's got a wire. He's looking at this saying, it looks like it should go on this bolt right here. But every time we put it on that bolt there, it blows the fuse in the fuse panel. What the heck am I doing wrong? So he fired it out. Bob got a hold of it. Bob fired it out to the network. Within less than 40 minutes, one of the guys in California responded back and said, you don't plug it into that one right here. It's a ground wire. You plug it over here. He plugged it. It took care of the problem. So our guys jump in to help each other a lot as well, because they're all really into this, and they really want to make this program work. So you kind of have two different ways to get the answer when you have a problem.
Okay, now our next question is about electric buses. The question is, what about electric buses? Can the equipment handle reconditioning?
If it has the hybrid buses, most of them are out there today. If it's a hybrid bus, yes, it will. Basically, if you take a look at that battery pack that's on the roof, it's a combination of about 10 Prius battery packs that are all wired together on the roof. So the same way you're going to do a Prius pack in conditioning, you can do that entire pack up top. It's going to take a while. It's not going to happen in 6 hours. It's going to take you days to sit there and do all 10 of those packs and condition them. But we have one of our dealers that is working a deal right now with the city bus department. I think there's 100 buses in town. And I want to say that he's charging $15,000 a battery pack to sit there and do them on the bus. So, I mean, if you do the math with that, that can be a substantial profit to a deal when they do that. You have to go through the contract bids to get there. We certainly dive in and help you with that. We're supplying any information you have about all those pieces. So, they're in Virginia Beach. Mark Anderson at First Landing. Been one of our dealers for a long, long time. They've done a really, really good job. They really have. And Mark's done a great job. I know one of the guys in Philly is working on the buses and up in Philadelphia as well. So, it's good news when these guys aggressively go out and do it, and I applaud them for the reference.
Okay. Now, we're getting this question from a lot of different people. In terms of the cost for this kind of servicing and in terms of the training that it involves, what can someone expect to kind of take on in terms of those two, cost and time for training?
The cost of training, well, either one of our packages, if you look at the two packages I talked about, we had the base level program, which is $12,500, and we have the one with the equipment. Now, we give you with either one of the packages, the base package, you send 2 guys for 4 days worth of extensive training at our training center, either one of the 2 training centers, one in Wisconsin or one in New York. If you go with the equipment, you get the same package. If you go just as the base level program, you get the same training. So it teaches you not only how to condition the battery, it talks to you about safety requirements, what you need to do. It tells you how to diagnose the vehicle. It teaches you how to work on the vehicle and gives you all the tools you need and all the knowledge you need to get you basically jumpstart into the business. It's not going to make you an expert by any means, but it's certainly going to jumpstart you into business. I'll pull the screen back up again on the slide here, if you will, and that's the basic piece of the program. So, it comes with training classes already. We have a package worked out as well that, technicians unfortunately turn over from time to time. People do leave. So we'll let other guys come and go to the training. There's a modest cost to send the guys to it and send the training. And what we found with training over time, too, is that I think the training is a lot better done when it's in a training facility. You're more conducive to learning if you're out of the business for the day. It really is. When you're sitting there in the business and other things affect you. The phone rings, you see a car pull in, you see somebody coming, your focus is not on training. When you're in a training center, for 4 days straight, your focus is 100% on learning. I think you come away with a lot better knowledge, if you will, on things.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers the question. So.
Yeah, I think it definitely did. I think it answered it well. The next question is it necessary to cycle the battery pack during reconditioning?
To cycle the battery pack?
Yes.
Yes, it is. It takes a couple cycles to do it. So, basically we do a power and energy test on the battery in the very beginning to determine what the initial capacity is with the battery. We run some tests on it in the very beginning to find out whether you have any bad modules in there. and then basically you discharge the pack, all the way down. You slowly charge it back up again. You run a series of tests again. You're going to run it through another set of cycles a second time as well, and bring it back up to. You're not going to bring it up to 100% capacity, because if you put it in the car at 100% capacity, the system will basically trigger a trouble light, if you will, because it's too much when the system starts to charge the battery. So we set all the parameters and protocols in the very beginning to teach you how to go. So it takes a couple cycles to get that battery done. It takes about 6 hours total time to do it.
Okay, the next question is a pretty simple answer. It's kind of a yes or no. Will the hybrid shop be at SEMA?
Yes, we will. We are not at a booth at SEMA this year. We took a business look at this year and said, you kind of get lost with the gazillions of booths that are out there. But we certainly have a training event. We'd like to invite anybody online to come to our training event Wednesday morning. It's at Venetian. You've got my email address there. Shoot me an email. I'll shoot you the invite. We just need you to register so we know how many chairs to have, how much food to have. But it's Wednesday morning. You get a very high-level overview, very short piece in the very beginning about the industry, a little bit more depth about the program. That's going to be a very short piece. For the bulk of that time is going to be our trainer, and Jerry or G. Trulia, who's the president of ATTS in Mahopac, New York. Jerry's going to do about a 3 to 3.5 hour session. He's going to condense like 3 days worth of training into 3.5 hours, and give a very shallow look into the hybrid business and whatnot, and tell you some things to look for, give you some information that truly you can take back with you. We also have a social event on Wednesday evening, so we'd love to have you come to that. If anybody on the phone could be on at SEMA, we'd love to do it. We're also going to demo the new equipment there as well. So we'll have the new equipment there from Newmont, and we can show you the equipment. You can see it, feel it, touch it, do all the pieces and everything else.
Terrific. Another question. How do we know, or what resources are available to get an estimate of about how many hybrid vehicles are in our area?
Good question. We utilize poll data. So anybody that has an interest, one of the first things we do when they express interest is that we pull the data up based on where they are. So we draw a line, we get an address, we can draw a circle around that marketplace and tell you exactly how many vehicles are in a given area. What we try and do is that we have parameter out there. We want at least 5,000 vehicles in an area to get a dealer started. And we tend to stretch that out depending where you are, 5,000 to 6,000-ish, maybe a little bit more. But we'll draw a circle around that protected area. So we can give you a list exactly how many vehicles are there. We can give it to you by year, by manufacturer, by model, exactly where it's going to be, by zip code, and break it down. So that way you know is that if you want to target market this, you can target those owners. We even have access for our dealers that they can buy that list. Excuse me, let me back up. Buy the use of that list for a targeted direct mail campaign out to those business owners. You can't use the list, you can't see it and have it, but the mail companies can target a piece out directly to those customers with a hybrid-specific offer to try and pull customers in for you.
Okay, now what are the differences between the base franchise and other franchise options, the cost of those?
The cost of them, again, I'll go back to this slide here. The base program is $12,500. And what that comes with in a very basic program is that we have training to offers, we have an initial marketing support that goes along with that, and then we have an ongoing tech support, and we have a dealer startup package that comes with that. And we basically put you in the business, train you guys to do it, help you with the marketing, give you some idea in the very beginning to get you up and going. We'll give you a source for where to get batteries from as well, so you can R&R a battery. The other side of the coin at $59,400, that's a complete package. It includes that base program, all the elements I just talked about, but it has an equipment package that goes along with that. So you not only get the battery conditioning equipment, you get stand tools, you get some safety equipment, safety gloves that go along with that. You get several tools that are essential to putting you in the hybrid business. Now, we can add all sorts of tools on there. I could probably put, oh gosh, Bob Curry and I go back and forth on this all the time, is that, we could add probably another 20 tools out there that would be recommended to include in that package. But what we find is that we try and keep that to a base level package, because a lot of dealers already have those tools in their shop. So why include them in a package and give them something that they already have? So we'll give you a list of all the other things you have and give you some sources where to find them as well. Hopefully that explains the question or answers the questions.
Yes. Another question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
No, both packages include the training, the marketing, the customer leads, and the protected territory. So, the main reason the difference between a base level program and one with equipment is a lot of more rural markets just don't have the hybrid density. I have a good friend of mine out in the Midwest, and he wanted to be part of this program. We sat down and looked at his marketplace. For 22 counties around his marketplace, I think he had about 900 hybrids. He can't, how do you justify a $60,000 investment when you have that limited amount of vehicles to work on? But the target-based program out here certainly gives them something to say, guess what, I can walk into this, I have tech support with this, I get my guys trained, I start to market it. When the market eventually catches up to me, then when I feel it's necessary to make the investment in the equipment, I'll do it. So we have a kind of a stepping stone thing for the guys, mainly in the more rural markets, if you will.
Okay, great. Our next question is, how quickly do you see the rollout of EV hybrid charging stations happening?
It's improving every day. In more and more places I see, you're seeing more and more charging stations. The charging stations affect today about 4% of the hybrid electric market. 96% of the cars utilize, electric and gas combined. Even the extended range vehicles, the Volt, the Cadillac ILR, it's going to run predominantly on electric until the electric finally gets to the point where there's nothing there, then the internal combustion engine kicks in. But you're seeing more and more every day. I'm seeing them in rest areas when you stop going to the interstate. Every Whole Foods market has them sitting in the parking lot. If it was me and I had a shop out there today and I'm starting to work on hybrids, I'd put one out in front of my business. It's about a $1,500, $2,000 investment installed. In a lot of cases, there's an opportunity that local government will help subsidize that to put it in place. But I put it out front with my name on it, and I promote it with a sign on top of it. And even if nobody ever plugged the car into it, in your parking lot to charge the car up, it's still going to telegraph to everybody riding up down the road that, guess what, I am in the hybrid business, and I have a spot where you stop with the electric vehicle if you need it. So, but you're seeing it built out more and more every single day, and I think it will continue as you go down the road.
Okay. Next question is, what liability issues are involved with servicing hybrid batteries and engines?
You grab the wrong wire, you kill yourself. Well, I hate to laugh about that, but that's the reality, is that if you don't know what you're doing and you grab the wrong bus bar the wrong way, but we teach that. And that's the important part, is to make sure your techs know, how to properly work on the car. Additional liability insurance, none that we know of, in the shop at all. It's basically equipment. Everything we do in a shop is dangerous. Every single day, every time you put a car up on the lift, every time you utilize the air pressure, anytime you're working under any type of vehicle, the high voltage coils that are out there today, all this will hurt you. But there isn't any additional liability insurance that needs to be carried other than what you're currently carrying today for garage liability that we found. But I can't speak for every single municipality and county and state across the country. But what we found is not required. So.
Okay, so what are some concerns of dealers and shops that have been expressed to you or to the hybrid shop about working on hybrids?
I think the main one is that you have to get rid of that fear, if you will. That basic fear that's out there that says, if I work on a hybrid, I'm going to die. It's a lot of electricity. But it's like anything else, is that, it's a fear of the unknown. This is my opinion. And what we found with most of our dealers, it's a fear of the unknown. Is that you teach somebody how to do something, you take that fear away, and they become proficient in working on it at that point in time. You change the fear, I think, into respect. And that respect is so important out there that you have to respect the vehicle you're working on. If you do it properly, there really isn't any concerns about how to work on the vehicle, if you will.
Okay, and our last question is, what kind of failure rates have you had with conditioned batteries that you've worked on?
Good question. It's a good question. It varies by I guess, market, if you will. The failure rate is limited in most of our dealerships. What we found right now across the country is it's a little bit less than 10% by talking to the dealer. And that's most of the dealers in the marketplace. Now, with that said, you get down to Southwest, down around Arizona, we have intense heat, that failure rate is going to go higher. So it depends. Is that, a lot of it is inherent on the heat that's out in the marketplace. And I don't think it's the conditioning as much as you're putting in another battery. You see a failure rate on the newer batteries that come on a brand new car, more so, they fail faster in the Southwest where there's a lot of heat as opposed to the Midwest or up in the northern segment of the country where it's a bit cooler. So you're going to get some failure. You got failure on everything we do, unfortunately. That's the way it is. You buy a brand new part today or a rebuilt part, no matter, from a parts store. It comes with a warranty, but you do get some comeback. So I think to fairly answer the question, it's going to vary by market, but I think a dealer should probably expect maybe, at the most, about a 10% failure rate that's going to come back, at the very most. If you do it and you take your time, you don't try and cut corners, that failure rate drops dramatically with a problem. So hopefully that answers the question.
Definitely. So as far as our questions go, that is all of them. Thank you all for attending today's webinar, done in partnership with the Tire Industry Association and sponsored by the Hybrid Shop. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email them to me and we'll pass them along and get you in contact with today's sponsor, the Hybrid Shop. Everybody have a great day. Thanks again for attending.
Thanks, Lynn.